Hello and welcome to the official Memphis 901 FC podcast. I'm Pete Pranica, your host for the show and also one of the television voices of the club. Today we're going to visit with midfielder Zac Duncan. He is new to the club, comes to Memphis by way of Australia and Denmark as well. We'll talk about his soccer journey and where he sees 901 FC at the moment and talk about some of the cultural changes that a player undergoes when you go from country to country. And we'll get his impressions of Memphis cuisine. I think you will find that rather interesting. That's coming up in a little bit. First, we want to tell you that Memphis 901 FC will be in action against Loudoun United on Saturday afternoon. That match will kick at 3 o'clock. Coverage on ESPN Plus. Now, Loudoun United 1-2-1 on the season. They have lost their last two fixtures, 2-1 to Detroit City and 3-1 to Birmingham. Their only win this year coming at home. That was a 3-1 result over North Carolina. Meanwhile, Memphis 901 FC also struggling on the season, just 1-3 to start the year. They are off a 2-0 home loss to Orange County last weekend. And the big issue for 901 FC right now, 0 goals in the last two matches. They will try to get that corrected on Saturday afternoon when they travel to Virginia to take on Loudoun United. Perhaps the biggest priority for 901 FC in the offseason was finding a midfielder to replace standout Aaron Malloy, who has since moved on to Charleston Battery. And Zac Duncan was a player that 901 FC had targeted. Caleb Patterson-Sewell, the assistant sporting director, knew Zac Duncan's agent, some Australian connections there, and there were conversations to be had, and Zac Duncan was eager for a new start. In his initial comment, Zac Duncan said, I want to get back to playing my best soccer. And I think the subtext there was because he had a series of injuries that he was finally fully healthy, was really looking for a brand new start. And so he gets the brand new start with 901 FC. To this point, 901 FC, they have struggled offensively. There's no question about it. But I think that Zac Duncan and the rest of the group, they're going to build back into this. And right now, the sharpness in the final third is lacking. Eventually, it's going to get there. It is a long season. You have Nico Brett and you have other really good goal scorers, Knight Pickering, up top. So those goals are going to come eventually. And I think a fair amount of assists probably will come from Zac Duncan, who has had 7 shots himself. And you will hear in the interview, feels he should have had at least a goal, maybe 2. And right now he has given out the most passes of any player. Great young man. I hope that you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Here's Zac Duncan. Zac, your first season with 901 FC. You come to us from Australia, New South Wales, near Sydney?
Yeah, so I'm from New South Wales. I'm about 45 minutes from the city. On a good day, sometimes a little bit longer with traffic. But yeah, I'm from Western Sydney, a place called Blacktown is where I'm from. So I grew up there my whole life.
So how different, and I've been to Australia and New Zealand, but only for like a week. Obviously, you were born and raised there. So what's the biggest difference about Australia, say, compared to the United States?
There's definitely a lot of similarities in terms of some things. But the whole country is run as kind of one country, whereas here it's very each state kind of determines what goes. So that's a pretty big difference. And then obviously with the healthcare and insurance
sure.
and stuff like that, it's pretty different also.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of similarities, and in America you've got everything at your fingertips really. So you can just Amazon Prime it and it's there the same day. So stuff like that, it's nice over here. And
you do have that Western frontier in Australia as well, kind of like the American West as well. So when did you take up the game of soccer? Australia's a sports-mad country. There's some fantastic basketballs being played there, Australian rules football. Why soccer, and when did you pick it up?
I was 4 or 5 years old when I started playing for my local team, Glenwood Redbacks, and I just fell in love with it. And I have a twin, so me and my twin sister are in the same team, and we used to just play together, and it was good fun. I met some really good friends back then, and a lot of them I'm still in contact with now from when I was 5. So I mean, we had a good group, and we just really enjoyed playing together. And then we would play in the summer outside, and then we would go in the winter and we'd play in the indoor soccer, and we just had a blast.
When did you realize that this could be a passion and a profession for you?
It's difficult because I don't think there's really a time where I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. It just kind of happened. It's always what I did want to do, but I never really thought about it like that. When I was 17, I had moved to Brisbane, so a 10-hour drive from my family.
Right.
And I had a couple jobs, working in grocery stores and in cafes and doing a lot of coaching and stuff to try and, get by and stuff. And then, my dad gave me, he told me, I'll cover everything for 6 months and let's just see what you can do. And I ended up making my debut. And
that was with the Brisbane Roar, the U19s?
So I was in the youth team, which was like it was like an under-21s, under-23s league, something like that. And then we would play in the NPL first grade, so the one step under from the A-League. And we were all 17, 18-year-olds playing in that men's league, which I think really helped us a lot. And then with 4 games to go, I was able to get my debut. So
and then you get promoted to the first team in 2018-2019. You also played for the Australian national team, the U23 club, and then you played some friendlies in China. What was that experience like, A, playing for your country, and then B, the experience of going to China and playing soccer? Yeah,
it was pretty wild, actually. We I had never been in a national team until I moved to Denmark, and then got the call up, and it was pretty surreal. And then we went to China, and if I remember correctly, it's maybe 4 months before the corona all came out, and we were over there and played some good teams, and it was a good experience. And then it was even better to be selected for the Asian Cup, which was in the January of that next year. So it was good.
What kind of pride do you have when you wear the shirt that says Australia and you're in your native country and you're representing your native country? What's that like?
It's really special. It's a hard feeling to describe. It's just very surreal, that moment when you're walking out and you're singing the national anthem, and it's really nice. And Australia, they love their sports, and it means so much for people back home. So it was a really special moment for myself and for my family.
And then you come to 901 FC from Denmark. So what's that process like? Because I'm familiar with the NBA, so I know how the NBA works and how player transfers and trades and all that work. What is it like? All of a sudden you're playing soccer in Australia and you get this phone call, presumably from your agent. Hey, there's an opportunity for you to play in the top league in Denmark. What was that all about?
So that was a pretty crazy one. I was my agent was overseas in Denmark at the time, and I happened to have a really good game against Adelaide United, and I think we lost 4-3 or 5-3 or something like that. But I had a really good game, and my agent was watching the game with the sports director of the club, because he had another player over there. And after the game, I got a phone call, and it was like, you can come on trial and everything's sorted. So just in 2 weeks you leave, and I was like, all right, well, that's what's going to happen. So I went over there, went on trial, and I landed, and then the next day I played in the reserve game. We won 1-0. I scored, which I don't do very, very regularly.
Was there jet lag involved?
Yeah, definitely. It was,
you scored despite the jet lag.
Yeah, which is I just guess it was meant to be. So I played well in that one, and then I ended up signing a 4-year deal over there.
How big a challenge is it you get this phone call from your agent saying, yeah, you can play here in Denmark, and then you call your family, which, I mean, understandably, they know that soccer is your passion and a profession for you. What's that phone call like to call your parents and say, Mom, Dad, I'm leaving the country and going to go play soccer in Denmark?
I mean, it's I guess they were kind of used to it. Not used to it, but they knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I had been living away from home for almost 2 years prior to that, so I was kind of used to being on my own, and they were just happy and proud of me, and yeah.
Do you have like a ritual when you go to a new place and you're with a new club? Like, okay, these are the things I need. These are the boxes I need to check when I move to a new club.
Not really. Just go there and just kind of wing it, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in Denmark, everything was kind of just sorted for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it was also a lot simpler of a transition because I was just on my own. This move from Denmark to here was a little bit more complicated with my wife and my dog and stuff like that. A lot more responsibility on myself.
Yes.
So that was it was a new challenge, but just go there and talk to people and figure it out.
Now, do I have the chronology right? You were loaned then back to Perth.
Correct.
From the Danish club.
Yeah.
So then how did that come about? And is that one of those things that you really didn't have any control over, but you were happy to go back to Australia?
That one was a quick one. That was had a talk with the club over there, and I wasn't really going to be playing. I had been injured a lot, not really consistently fit or available, or so I just I needed minutes. I needed to play because that's the only way you're going to get better is by actually playing in games and testing yourself. So that wasn't really an option, and we had a chat, and I think it was 24 hours later I was on a plane, and I was training with the team in Perth.
And going to Perth. Because you had made the comment, I think, when you were signed here in Memphis, I want to get back to playing my best, playing up to my capability, and that was primarily because of injuries that you had sustained throughout the stay in Denmark?
Yeah, so, when I first got to Denmark, I was 19. I think I played 16 or 17 games in my first 6 months. And then the COVID lockdown happened, and, I was in and out, so I would start a game, then come off the bench. But I was always around the squad, always really close to playing, always getting minutes, and I thought I was doing quite well. Then after the corona, the first game back, 20th minute, I snapped my knee, my ACL and meniscus, and when I came back, it was a little bit of a tough one. My body was a little bit different. I was a little bit heavier, more muscle, but maybe not as quick, or so it was just trying to get used to all that stuff. And after about 6 months, kind of found myself again. Started getting back into the team, and throughout preseason, I was amongst it again. And then last game of preseason, I break my foot, and then a 3-month injury turns into a 6-month one because I end up needing surgery and having a pin put through my 5th metatarsal. So it was a lot of in and out and long-term injuries that set you out quite a long while.
So then I imagine when Caleb Patterson-Sewell, who has connections with your agent, called your agent and said, "Hey, here's an opportunity for a fresh start with the USL Championships club in the States," I would imagine that call was pretty welcomed.
Yeah, it was really nice. And the funny thing is, my mum was saying to my dad that literally the day before I got this message, it was like, surely you can go to America and play in America or something like that. So then when I told my mum that, she was like, "Oh, I knew it." So yeah, that was a nice phone call, and just an opportunity to get consistent minutes and to play and to work myself back into it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far.
So what are those conversations like? Because you get this initial call, your agent says, hey, Caleb Patterson-Sewell with Memphis 901 FC is interested in you. Then what conversations ensue that help you make the decision that you want to be here and that this is a good opportunity for you? How do you go about evaluating all that?
Just a lot of research. I mean, I have some friends who play in this league. So Panos Amanakis from Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I was with him in the under-23s national teams. So like I was speaking with him, asking him about the league and stuff like that. I was watching the league on YouTube because that's where it's being streamed over there. So I was just having a big look, and then I obviously have to try and convince my wife and get the tick from that one, which is a lot harder than you would expect. So, but no, it was all good. So, yeah, it was.
So you mentioned your
nice.
wife Laura, then you also mentioned a dog. I know the dog doesn't have a vote. The dog can't speak. So what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Jack Russell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh,
so
plenty
he's,
of energy.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's 3 years old, so he's full on.
So what about the transition to Memphis? We'll talk about football in a second, but the transition from Australia and Denmark to Memphis, culturally, what has that been like for you?
One thing I've really noticed over here is the people are some of the most unbelievably nice and generous people I've really ever come across. Everyone's just so willing to help and really wants to make you feel at home and feel comfortable. And the positivity of Americans in general is something that's really been a nice change.
See, because it's interesting. I have very little experience in Australia, but I always found Australians to be super friendly and super helpful.
Yeah,
and Sydney to be one of the cleanest big cities I've ever visited.
Yeah, of course. But just in terms of, they want to go the extra mile. They want to really, they want you to come over to their house for dinner, and they want to, they're checking in, and they, sometimes it could be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe over the top, but I think it's really nice, and it's just something that I've really welcomed.
Yeah, you'd rather have that than the opposite.
You'd rather have that than have nothing. And I mean, it's just the help I've received since I've came here is just next level. So,
and as we sit here, the results have not yet shown up for this club. You get the opening season win over Las Vegas Lights. After that, the chances created, nothing to the back of the net. As you prepare for Loudoun, which is coming up this weekend, what has been training like? Because I know you want to trust the process. You know the results are going to come. It's a long, long season, but that mindset in training this week, what has that been like?
It's really been about putting the ball in the back of the net. We want to play quicker. We want to have more successful passes. We want to be, a team that can be clinical. And it's easier said than done. I'll put my hand up, and I should have had, 2 goals at least this season so far, minimum. I've had some chances that I've missed, and I need to be better and stick them away. And I think a lot of the boys are thinking the same thing. So, we need to do our job, and I think things will start to click. I think as soon as one of the forward boys get a goal, I think it will just give us that little bit of a kick, and it will they'll start to fall in. And
you've been watching the USL, and so you've seen Nico Brett, obviously. What is it like to play with somebody that has that much talent and scoring ability? Yeah,
it's nice. He knows what he wants. He knows where he wants the ball, and now it's my job to find him where where he's going to be dangerous. And he's had 1 or 2 chances, but it's not enough. He needs to be getting 4 or 5 chances a game, and I need to be finding him and helping him get those goals.
You had the interesting experience of being part of the St. Jude celebrity basketball scrimmage during halftime of the Grizzlies game. Now we're not going to talk about shot selection or anything like that. But what was that like? I mean, you're used to playing football in front of large crowds. What was it like to play basketball in front of a large crowd?
Yeah, it was different. It was different. I was definitely out of my comfort zone out there. But it was nice. It was a great group of people, and it was for a really good cause. But I really wish I had just made the layup. I mean, it's just
I wasn't going to bring that
up. But yeah.
Now, were there other athletes in Australia? Because Australia has provided the NBA with a number of great players. Did you follow other sports in Australia? Did you follow whether it was Australian rules football or rugby or basketball?
Not really. I've been to a couple AFL games, and that's an unbelievable atmosphere to experience. So many people love that sport over there, and it's the same as the NFL over here. So not really. I like my golf. I like watching golf.
Okay, good. We got that in common.
Yeah, when I'm done here, I'll start watching the Masters.
Okay.
And, Tiger birdied one, so that's nice. But yeah, not really. But since I've been here, I enjoy going to the Grizzly games too. There's some freak athletes.
Yes, very, very, very much so. So what about diet? I don't know what the barbecue situation is in Australia, and I don't imagine the barbecue scene's very big in Denmark. So have you indulged in Memphis barbecue or any other type of Memphis cuisine that you've particularly enjoyed?
Yeah, the barbecue's good. Yeah,
okay,
the barbecue's nice. I like the ribs. I like the brisket. I like anything really. I could eat anything. The Memphis barbecues is really nice, but you can't eat too much of it.
Yes.
You'll start to feel quite heavy. So, yeah.
Well, Zac, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I have great memories of going to Australia. Would love to go back, and excited to watch you play, because I know in talking with Glassy and Caleb in the offseason, they said, this Zac Duncan kid, we are really thrilled to have him, and looking forward to seeing you back in action this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And our thanks to Zac Duncan for joining us in advance of the match at Loudon. 901 FC will host at AutoZone Park for the very first time a U.S. Open Cup match, as they will take on Miami United. That will be Wednesday, April the 17th, 6:30 start at AutoZone Park. So go to Memphis901FC.com, get your tickets. It will be the first match for 901 FC in the U.S. Open Cup. I'm looking forward to that. 901 FC had a nice little run last year in the U.S. Open Cup before they were knocked out by Birmingham Legion, and hopefully there will be another nice little run for Memphis 901 FC. For all of us with the club, I'm Pete Pranica. Thanks so much for listening to the official Memphis 901 FC podcast.